Hey everybody. So I was interviewed on a podcast today and I cannot wait to share it with you. It was really a great conversation with an oncologist who has a podcast. And of course, it was very exciting being on the podcast. And I love doing that. I love being able to share my story. And as you know, hope that my story helps someone or inspires somebody. And there was a part of the interview where we were talking about how different people react differently to the diagnosis of breast cancer. And I wanted to share this moment with you because, yes, this was specifically about breast cancer, but I really feel like this story is relatable to any life-shaking experience that you've had and the impact that it has on you after. So let me take you back to just about 5 years ago, almost to the day. My sister and I were on a trip, which was something that we started to do during my diagnosis. And it was a week before my surgery, my bilateral mastectomy. And of course, I was incredibly emotional. I was having a lot of feelings. I was having a lot of thoughts. However, we got to the end of the weekend and I remember us being on the boardwalk and her saying to me, I think it was maybe our last morning there and at the beach, and she said something along the lines of, like we're coming to the end of our time here and I didn't want to bring it up if you don't want to talk about it, but you haven't really talked at all about what's going on and talked at all about this surgery and how you're feeling. And I very quickly in that moment responded and reacted and said something just very quickly of, oh, it's fine. I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to let breast cancer define me. This is fine. And I just kind of shut it down. And I know that by having a conversation with me, she wasn't talking about letting it define me. She was just being my sister and my best friend and wanting to make sure that I had the space to talk about my feelings if I wanted to. My perspective of it was, holy shit, like she thinks I'm going to let this define me. And my previous experience of somebody who I considered defining themselves by breast cancer was that, in my opinion, that she carried it very heavy, like for a long time after. And again, keep in mind, this is all my experience and my view, my perception of these things. So I shut it down really quickly. So come back to today on the podcast, and the physician we were talking about, again, how different people, respond to different things during treatment as far as like different verbiage, right? Like you're so strong and a warrior, and some people like myself do not vibe with that language. And then we were talking about how she brought up, I think it's important that we remember like some people that I see in my office, and I'm paraphrasing what she said, this really becomes a part of who they are. And for other people, it's not. And there is no right or wrong. We were simply having this conversation about the differences. And I said, I'm so glad that you bring that up. And let's also make space for the fact that someone can change their mind and change, right, through this experience. And the reason I shared that was because in that moment, I was thinking back to being on the boardwalk with my sister and being in this fearful state, of course. I had, only been diagnosed a month or so prior, and here I was about to have my breasts removed and have this really tough recovery. And in my mind, defining myself by breast cancer would be a negative thing. And I was thinking back to that in this split second on the podcast, and in the same second thinking about how I was showing up on a breast cancer podcast talking about my experience, and how I've written this memoir, and that I do speaking events and speak for support groups, and that I help women who've been through this experience, and utilizing the tools that I have that have been helpful for me to recover my trust in myself and rebuild a fulfilling life after cancer. And so it was this moment where I had both of those sitting with me. And that's why I felt like I had to speak up and say, let's make space for the fact that this can evolve and change, right? Because here I was, a woman who said, I will not let this define me. And I considered defining me as a negative thing. And now it's a part of me. And that's just who I am, right? I tend to take my life experiences and utilize them for good in the world. And a lot of people actually, in line with that, many people have been very surprised. I was very vocal during breast cancer about how I did not like the color pink. And if you have been in my space for any amount of time, you know that purple is more my color. And recently I've really been embracing pink. And I actually love it. And I think that I enjoy wearing pink. And I also always said, I will not have pink ribbons on me. I didn't want to wear breast cancer, right? However, when I decided to get a tattoo, I hope you guys can see this. Which way do I turn? Okay, we're not going to be able to see that. There we go. So dragonflies are my spirit animal. And my husband drew this amazing tattoo. And you can see that one of the wings is a pink ribbon. So again, let's leave space in these life-changing, soul-shaking events in people's lives for the fact that what it looks like after can change. And for me, it changed because I even changed the definition to myself of what being defined or defining myself or making a life with cancer meant. I just didn't want it to be this heavy, burdensome weight that I carried around. And I'm so glad that through my spiritual journey and through the energetic practices that I have learned and that I continue to practice every day, and the ones that I share with other women, I've been able to really own that. I don't shy away from the fact that this is who I am and this is how I help women, because I believe in my vision. And I know that when women have the tools to uplift themselves and rebuild their life, there is a massive ripple effect with that. They're not only having the most fulfilling life that they can with joy and peace and passion and so much love and laughter, that is then emanating out in their energy, and it is being infused into their home, their work, their communities, and the world, one woman at a time. But there was a time when I would not own this. When people would come to me about my book and tell me that I was a horrible person because I was trying to benefit off of people having cancer, or that I was trying to make money off of people having cancer. This was implorable what I was doing. And now I can sit here because I have increased my personal power so much and my belief in myself and my soul that I don't really, it's not that I don't care. I still care what people say, but I care about it differently. I look at it differently. I know it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about their perspective of what it is that I'm doing. And it's taken this journey of emotional discovery and spiritual discovery and energetic healing practices to be able to build up that confidence and stay rooted in my core vision. Get out of my own head, get out of my own way, stop the stories, stop the bullshit that's running and ruminating up here, that was running and ruminating up there, and really tune in to who it is that I am, and to be proud of that, and to know that I know what I stand for, and I know what my vision is. And now, 5 freaking years after standing on the beach with my sister declaring, I will not let cancer define me, I am proud as shit of how I have redefined what cancer means to me in my life. So if you are watching this and you are somebody who has had a life-shaking experience, whether it is, cancer or something else, maybe there was a time when you said something like that, like it wasn't going to define you, or you weren't going to let it impact you, or you weren't going to wear it like a badge of courage. I just want to tell you that it's okay. It's okay. Be proud of who you are. And I'm so excited when I get the opportunity to speak on a podcast like I did today, because I know that other people are going to hear that. And I know that hearing other women's stories has helped me. And I know that hearing my story will help another woman to really connect with her personal power and to be able to own the shit of where you are. Whether it's the good shit, the bad shit, the messy shit, it doesn't matter. It's your life and you get to live it. So make space for redefining what that looks like to you and allowing yourself to have growth and evolution in your life and in your healing. All right. Love you so much. Bye.